Yeah.
Okay, that name sounds.
Yeah, I
sounds
know. And once
familiar
upon
to
a
me.
time, Jack Kent Cooke owned the Los Angeles Kings and the Lakers before Dr. Bus bought it and got the Redskins. Just a little bit of old time trivia. Okay, so come on, Rudy, Rude Dog.
He didn't see it happening. I'll tell you what, Byron Leftwich is in that conversation of being the next head coach. Mike Petty, and I can't believe he's in that conversation. Mike Petty, former coach of the Cleveland. I think they're like their fourth coach 4 years ago or something.
Right.
Todd Bowles, and I'm not a fan of Todd Bowles. Look what he did to New York. I mean, the Jets went down in flames with him under as an AHC.
Right.
Greg Olson, oh my gosh, this is getting risky. Josh McDaniels, of course, we know what happened with Josh McDaniels
Right.
going back on his own bid to be the next head coach of another football team. Kevin O'Connell, everybody's talking about Mike Tomlin, which is absolutely ludicrous. His name shouldn't be on that list. Joe Judge and Dennis Allen, those are the only roundabout roller coaster guys. But I think Eric Bieniemy has this thing locked up. I can almost put money on it in regards to him being the head coach in 2020 for the Washington Redskins.
All right. I do want to comment on the fact that I agree with you that Colin Kaepernick has been blackballed, by the NFL, and you're right, he will never play another down there anyhow. But one thing you better get used to with me, Rude Dog, is I will hit you with some unexpected facts that you can only just imagine, buddy. So you better kind of get used to the fact that I've been around it for a while, okay?
Fair enough.
Get an education is what we're talking about. So with that said, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers yesterday. Obviously, they went ahead and the Packers won their fourth straight game down in Dallas, and they did it with a great running attack. If you had Aaron Rodgers in fantasy football, you probably pulled your hair out, and if you didn't do that, you shaved your hair off. Okay, so what is going on with Aaron Rodgers in terms of it taking him forever to learn Matt LaFleur's offense, knowing that his passing numbers are far from what were expected?
Well, look, Aaron Rodgers has always been this guy where he had Mike McCarthy and everything was kosher. And then all of a sudden, as time progressed, McCarthy showed his inability to be flexible and open things up offensively when you're 3rd and 13 or 4th and 1. He decides to not go for it and punts it away when they're down 7-10 points. It's just not something that you can do. And if you're a head coach, if you're an organization paying a head coach this kind of money, and he's every single opportunity that he's been given time and time again, and just not wanting to convert those very short yardage situations into first downs in order to put Aaron Rodgers in to win the game 40, which he has done throughout his entire career. Something's wrong, and it's not Aaron Rodgers. But this year is a little bit different story. I think LaFleur is trying to slowly get the offensive play calling, the familiarity. Don't forget, Mike McCarthy was in Green Bay for, 14 seasons? That's a long time.
Right.
That's a guy that you won a Super Bowl with. Brett Favre won a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy. So sometimes when you fire a guy in the middle of the season or 3 quarters left or 2 games left in the season, it kind of shakes things up a little bit. So last year was last year. This year is this year. At 4-1, beat the Cowboys fair and square, 10-point spread,
Right.
3-2. But I think Aaron Rodgers is really being dealt bits and pieces of what Matt LaFleur is trying to accomplish. Now, I don't know too much about LaFleur other than to suggest that in the beginning it was really rocky. They're about the same age. How do you take orders from somebody your same age? So you really have to just kind of swallow the bitter pill in order to play fluidly, in order to get that ball out of your hands when you need to, down the field, complete first downs, a la mode. It's taken a little bit of time. I mean, he was 22 for 34. He had 238 yards, but he had 0 touchdowns. So you have to really look at what's going on. And I think defensively, they're really putting weight on all kinds of guys right now. I mean, you have Trey Carson, Aaron Jones, and of course Aaron Rodgers. But he's 0.2 negative for rushing.
Right.
Wait, that's not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who can scramble, get you that first down when you need it. And I think that there's some hiccups. There's some hiccups going on offensively between LaFleur and between Aaron Rodgers
Right.
now. But if you look at the numbers for all the receivers none of them had a touchdown. Not one.
I
Vital,
know.
Kumar, Lewis, Scanlon, Carson, Tanya, Allison Graham, not even Jimmy Graham, who's a tall, big, massive tight end / wide receiver that you surely want to target in the end zone, and Aaron Jones. Nothing for nobody. The defense is doing it all for you. There were 3 interceptions, one by Sullivan, Alexander, and Kevin King, who is almost not going to play this game. Turns out that the defense won this game for them again. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Everybody remembers Peyton Manning was in Denver, and the fact alone that he played very poorly, admittedly so, he played very poorly, and the defense with Von Bell, with Brandon Marshall, you had Justin Simmons on the fire blitz, things of that nature. That's how they were able to get it done. Not because Peyton Manning didn't help get them there. He did. But in that game, Super Bowl 50, he did not look very good. So it just stands to reason that there has to be some type of way to change the dichotomy within this non-passing, non-offensive-minded team. I mean, again, they are winning, but when is Aaron Rodgers going to really show up in a regular season game by scoring 2 or 3 touchdowns at least?
Okay, so I have a question for you. A week from tonight, the Detroit Lions take on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Okay, and let's just say you're out there in the fantasy era and you've got Matt Stafford, who isn't afraid to throw the football against Aaron Rodgers. Who would you take in that game if you had to be a fantasy owner between Rodgers and Stafford?
You know, to be honest with you, Matt Stafford played his heart out against Kansas City. They came up short, like they always do, because they're the Lions. And offensively, not the best play calling, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave their best against one very, very good team in Kansas City, especially the defense. I really, truly believe that the defense for the Packers will come up big again. One of the leading defenses in the NFL. I think they're doing it very quietly, I might add. On top of that, I'm going to have to take Matthew Stafford in this quarterback matchup. Why? Because Matthew Stafford has a big arm. He's been playing relatively decently, not the turnover-prone guy that you would maybe expect him not to be, because he's shown that he has.
Right.
It's just a little bit different for him, a little bit different for the Lions organization. But I still got to take the Packers because of the defense and the defense only at this point.
Well, yeah, you just said it yourself. You had 2 different matchups. You talked about the Packers winning the game, but Matt Stafford winning the quarterback battle. So, and bear in mind, the only reason why the Lions lost to Kansas City is their defense couldn't hold up in the latter part of the game, or they should have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. So, just curious. I was thinking the same way. All right, so let's go on back to baseball, Rudy, okay? We'll talk about the Tampa Bay Rays 10-3 win over the Houston Astros. Charlie Morton is 4-0 with 0.95 earned run average in 4 elimination games. You're talking about a guy that's 35 years of age, okay? And they actually, Tampa Bay had 4 home runs in this game, a sellout crowd of 32,734. They averaged 14,734 during the regular season, albeit with tarps on. And yet the Rays entered this series 96 and 66 with a $63 million payroll. I'm giving you a lot of facts there, and I tell you what, the Rays are in house money anyways, but I gotta hand it to Charlie Morton, the guy that led the Astros to their World Series championship. What are your thoughts about what took place today out at Tropicana Field?
You know, to be honest with you, another ex-Pirate, Charlie Morton, who happens to be on a World Series contending team right now. That doesn't say a whole lot about the Pirates organization from that standpoint, allowing players like Charlie Morton to go. But again, it's not just Charlie Morton; it's the entire team. I mean, you have guys like Springer on the Houston sideline, Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez. A lot of these guys have been there, done that. They've already won a World Series, having this type of depth in relation to batting order, RBIs, hits, runs. Springer had 5 at-bats. He did basically nothing. Altuve, as you know, is one home run kind of guy from not only a mentality standpoint, but just from what he's done consistently throughout this season. And then the silent yet deadly Zach Greinke pitches almost 4 innings, only allowing 5 hits. He did have 6 errors, but he had 5 strikeouts. That speaks to the depth of this Rays organization. A lot lot of conversation in the beginning of the season that the Rays were overpaid. They had too much money on the payroll, and you had guys who really weren't going to show up. Now, don't forget, the Astros have had one of the best records in Major League Baseball, yet found themselves deep early, because Rays had 3 in the second, they had 4 in the fourth. They chalked up 1 more in the sixth, 1 in the seventh, and had 10 runs overall with 12 hits and only 1 error. That means that the Rays are getting it done early with the rotation. And I do like Zach Greinke, probably not the best pitcher, but the best for the Rays, the best from what their payroll is able to acquire. And I think a guy like him can really kind of set the tone moving forward. As now Houston still leads the series, but the Rays are still in this. It's not as if we're going to call this out if it goes to Tampa Bay or if it stays at Tropicana. I like the activity. I like the defense. I like what they're doing in the infield. I like what they're doing during the shift. They just seem to be doing everything right in order to stay competitive. They're winning today 10-3.
Well, A.J. Hinch has already indicated that for Game 4 he's going with Justin Verlander. And I believe, from what I understand, the Rays are going to be going to a bullpen day where they're going to have a lot of different guys out of the bullpen try to piecemeal their way through this game. So, Justin Verlander is a big money pitcher. He has a world championship under his belt, strong Cy Young possibility, and he's definitely headed to Cooperstown. So I think the Rays are really on house money, making the most of what they have, and more power to them. Again, I'd like to see them do well, but I think they're definitely overmatched against the Astros.
I do as well, and I'm going to add on to this. Is
Sure.
that the team who's going to make the least amount of mistakes is the team that's going to win. Errors will not help you.
Right.
Not playing right defensively. That's not going to help you. Overplaying balls or underplaying balls in the outfield, not going to help you. You need to bring your absolute A game against an Astros team that was completely on fire during the regular season. And, of course, in the back of my mind, I always thought, well, the Astros are going to be there again. And I'm exactly right. And another note on Charlie Morton, he pitched 5 innings. He only allowed 3 hits and 1 error. I mean, he had 9 strikeouts. A guy that the Pirates had cut because he wasn't performing. Yet we see this all the time, especially in Major League Baseball. See it in the NFL, where guys that move from one system to another, you wonder if they're going to be able to relive this phantasmic play, this mentality that put them in a championship conversation at least one time before, and that could have been in college. But now he's in a very positive situation, a good situation. I like what I've always liked Charlie Morton to begin with, but the fact alone the Pirates were so bad and have consistently been bad meant that they had to deal with a guy like Charlie Morton out of Pittsburgh to put him in the situation he's in right now. And to be honest with you, had that not have happened, then he would probably be sitting on the couch eating chips.
Well, well, when you think about the way the Rays are constructed, though, okay, you're talking about a situation for which they get a lot of other teams' cast-offs and then they're able to compile it with great young talent. A couple of guys that stand out, or at least one guy, is Avisail Garcia, who played with the White Sox, and prior to that was considered the baby Miggy. Okay, and I'm sure they have a lot of other guys that come from other organizations. And you know what? All these guys are saying nobody wanted us, but the Rays will take you, and now you have the Rays in the playoffs. So I think the Rays are just a very interesting franchise, and these guys thrive on that kind of thing. And don't forget the fact that Kevin Cash is undoubtedly one of the most underrated managers in the game, with what the deck that he has to work with in a stadium where they can't draw anybody.
Well, not exactly did they have the best of intents. It didn't really. To be honest with you, I don't even think the clubhouse or front office management of the Rays thought that they would ever be in the situation that they're at right now. To be perfectly honest with you, because they felt as though, well, we don't have a chance. We don't have the amount of money. We don't have this. We don't have that. Well, you can't really think about that. You have to think about what you do have. Work with what you do have. Create the winning mentality. Create